Hello there, Outliers. Niyama Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We have ourselves a great roundtable set aside for you where we are going to be talking to some incredible outliers around how they continue to up level their game while making the biggest impact that they can out in the world. Right. And so with that here, let's make sure you get a chance to get to know these outliers here. We're going to start off with Anthony. Anthony, thank you very much for being here. We have Anthony and Chelsea, so I want to make sure y'all know that we have a good house here. Anthony, let's start off with you. Let's give Outliers a chance to get to know you. Would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Yeah. I'm a father of three. I'm a husband. I have a son graduating college here this semester and twins that are 16 years old in high school. My wife's a master's track athlete. My primary thing is family. It's a big piece of my humanity. And I speak, coach, talk. My brand's called Dark Work. It's the work you do in the dark that allows you to win the light. It comes from my background playing professional sports, the NFL, and foster care, being given away, a whole lot of craziness growing up. But my core humanity is finding out how to be able to live a really cool life and then share that in a way that is beneficial and we'll call it has mechanisms to serve others. The game I am playing is teaching people how to develop what's called a dominator's identity. It's a sense of self that has a little bit of, we'll call it on a little bit, a lot of bit of grit, dog, tenacity, but essentially there's a part of us that is like the most confident, the most get after it. It doesn't happen on accident. It's what you do in the dark when nobody watches that makes you show up to the light differently, fight differently, achieve differently. And so the game I'm playing is to get everybody playing the game of life better.
I'm really feeling that right now. I feel like uh, there's an energy inside of me that just feels like, oh, I want to sit up a little bit straighter. I'm in here, and I'm looking forward to see how we play with that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Anthony.
You're welcome.
Chelsea, let's get to know you. You mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Great. Yes. I am a pediatrician for the past 25 years, and I am trying to leverage healthcare and telehealth and innovative ways of providing healthcare to kids. I have most recently built Kids MD DPC, which is a direct primary care model. So I have patients that have a membership and they have full and complete access to their pediatrician. And what I want to do is take healthcare back to what it was when doctors did house calls, where we have trusted relationships with our families. They have access, it's affordable, and they get all of their care from their primary doctor. And so my goal is to make life better for families and kids and taking it back to what it was back in the day when we remember house calls. And I also do house calls. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, I love this here. This is y'all are really fun because like I'm already getting the sense that both of you stand for something, right? It's not you're not just doing things out in the world and just saying like, all right, let's just do more of what has been done. But you each have like a mission, a larger vision that drives you. Let me ask you this. This is the first question I want to like really bring into to the space for because there's a lot of outliers who are mission oriented, mission driven, purpose driven here. Like when it comes to you and bringing your vision of what you want to see out in the world, what would you say is like the hardest part that you've run into around like w- whether or not it's like accepted or like yeah, I'll just use the word accepted in this case here, whether or not it's accepted by those or the status quo around you. Anyone want to take that one on?
I kick it off if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
So the work I do is an identity. It's a I call it dark work, but there's a sense of who we are. Like if I asked you guys who you are, you'd rattle off something specific, right? But that's a sense of what you've accomplished, you've done. And so I find that a lot of folks they want more. We want them to have more time, more money, more joy, more impact. There's always this desire for more. But I've come to find that a lot of us we have a lot of information, more than ever readily available in human history. Yet more people unsuccessful, more struggling. And the thought that I try to impress upon people that's not always accepted is like you don't need more info, you don't need more strategy. You need to do more with what you already know. I believe your success comes from not what you know, but who you are with what you know. We all know someone who's incredibly successful, has a bunch of stuff going on, but they're borderline idiots. And you're like, how do they become successful? They just act. And then you have people who are highly informed who are still struggling. And so what I try to impress upon people, it's not the information, but it's the core of who you are. Are you an action taker? Do you get after stuff? Do you make excuses? Do you let excuses drive you? Do you get shut down when difficulty happens? And so it's hard because I don't do well with trying to convince people to go after something. I do well with those who are trying to get after something, like those who want to create something. But the problem is those people are smart, they're intelligent, and they've convinced themselves they're doing everything they're supposed to do. And I have to convince them, like, no, if you want more, you have to become more, right? There's a guy named Harvey McKay one time said the biggest room in the world is a room for improvement. And a lot of folks don't like that. There's this idea that like there's this status. I'm at this level, and you to come and tell me that I'm not working hard enough. I don't like that. And I go, well, that's great. You don't like it, but if you worked hard enough, if you did the right things, you'd already have what you want. It's not rocket science to get that concept down. So I have to step in and go, look, there's a level of what you want that someone else already has. But if you don't do the things they did to get that, you don't get that. I don't care if it makes your butt pucker. I don't care if it's hard or difficult. It might be communication, emails, delegation, structure. You cannot build $1 million business with a $100,000 identity. That's the concept that's hard to get across for me in my work.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
you
love
there.
what you have to say. I love that.
Right?
It made me want to become one of your clients because I'm probably one of those folks that you're talking to. I'm very confident in my expertise, my experience, my skills as a physician, and I am putting myself out there by doing it differently. And because I still have to educate the public on what it is that we're doing differently to see how much better it could be to step out of what you know and how healthcare is delivered. That I am great one on one in an exam room, talking with families, talking with my patients, putting myself out there in the social media space, trying to not be an influencer, but to be an expert and showing what I know and being a trusted resource is very difficult to put yourself out there on a
Yeah,
stage in front of a whole bunch of folks and not feeling like you're trying to peddle something, but just to be on the stage with the influencers, with the folks that just have something to say but may not have any credentials behind them, and to set myself apart from that. So I
yeah,
could probably learn from what you have to share in order to make sure that I recognize that there is a way for me to present myself and my experience and knowledge and share that with the world, and not on a bigger stage than just one on one in an exam room.
totally get it. It is. To be honest, same for me. Like, just so you guys know, I'm not like this guy. Like, I got it all figured out. I've got a lot of cool, weird things I've done in life. Like, I played the NFL and I've been on Ninja where I speak on cool stages. And even myself, one of my mentors came in and go, "Hey, I know you have these big goals, but listen, you suck in this area." I'm like, "Oh, damn." And
Mm,
my ego, because the ego goes like, and I call ego everyone's greatest obstacle. It's the thing that will give you permission or not permission to improve. And so I just step in and go, dang, like I gotta really absorb this and figure out like why am I not getting booked for this? Or clients aren't seeing this and resonate. It's not the market, it's not the industry. Like there's somebody winning. Why are they winning and I'm not? Right. Instead of really dig in. And then what's cool about it is once you figure out like the process, it's not like it has to be crazy. It's just can I see myself? As this Tim Murphy one time said, it's hard to see the label when you're inside the jar.
mm,
There's this way that we see ourselves. We're unaware of the label that's showing here's the thing that really is a limiting factor why our jar is not filled. So I have to go outside of myself and go, please tell me things I don't want to hear but need to hear. And I go, dang, okay, I hear that. But then can I give myself permission to work on it? And then the work is not like one fell swoop, big day, right? It's can I find the small things that I must do consistently, arduously? It will like it tears your soul apart a little bit, right? But you do them enough, you develop the skill set, you develop the sense of investment bias, which is I give to something, the bias wants me to say, I'm better there, I have confidence there. But that's a daily drip for months. But once you have that in place, like you naturally kind of elevate. All of a sudden, one day it went from being hard to do to like it's hard not to do it. It's who I am now. The cool
mm,
thing is
mm.
every single one of us have done this. We've all done this. Like I'm a parent. I've done this in parenting. If you'd ask, let's say 19-year-old Anthony, I had a kid at 20. If you'd ask 19-year-old Anthony, can you be a dad next year? Hell no. A dad? I'm doing football. I got school. What are you talking? I'm in college. But then I had a kid. I'm like, let's do it. And now I'm a phenomenal dad, right? The idea is we've all done this, but it happens one of two ways, which is on demand or when crap hits the fan. And for most, crap hits the fan.
You gotta
So
you
the
gotta
answer for
watch
that,
out as it's coming back at you. You know, like as you're saying this year, and there's a couple different things. One, I just want to I want to acknowledge both of you for choosing to play the way that you do. Chelsea, I want to thank you for like really owning and opening up. Like, hey, look, there's a new stage that I want to be stepping into right now, and that creates more room in this space here. And I get like you'll be hearing me. I like as I'm listening to y'all, I'm trying to understand like who y'all are underneath, and what I get about you, Chelsea, right now from that is that like you're the kind of person who's able to like allow to not have to hide behind letters or credentials or anything like that, but to allow yourself to be seen and to be with the people that you're working with. I get like there's a level of intimacy that is able to show up there, and I want to just make sure I'm calling that in. So and you'll see me, I'll do this throughout the conversation. Like, I'll just like, this is what hits me. 'Cause I'm not just listening with my ears, y'all. Anthony, there's something here that I wanted to call in, which is like, you talked about being like playing professional football, being a ninja warrior, right? And things like that. So what I want to try and see right now is, but you also juxtapose that with like, you had someone in your world that came and said like, hey, you're not doing this at the level that's here. Can you help make that real for us here? Like, because I think that there's a level of us as outliers that go out and we're like, all right, well, I haven't done this, or like this is where I'm at, and or even better to be like, well, it's easy for you, Anthony.
Yeah.
I don't have all these things. I haven't been in these things. So would you mind? I'll start with you, Anthony, and then maybe we can go to you, Chelsea, afterwards, around like
Yeah.
some things that most people see about you that they don't really understand.
Yeah, I'll
Just really
keep
find
it
it.
tight. So I was given away at 3 years old in foster care. Dealt a whole lot of crazy growing up. I was not given a lot of statistical odds to be successful. In fact, if you look at any prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids like me. So I
Mm,
went through a lot of journey, got to by a very poor all-white family at 14. And so when I went through life, like I didn't have very much of a sense of self-confidence or success in my pathway. But I found a way to dig in because I had this really weird desire to be great at football. I want to hit people when I get in trouble, kind of like, let's just do this. And so I sucked though, and I had to fight through this journey to get there. Didn't realize that back then I was developing a system and a process accidentally. Now, fast forward way through life, a lot of crazy. NFL, a kid, divorce. My wife and I were divorced for 3 years. We got remarried 3 years after. High school sweethearts, all that kind of fun stuff. We're like 10 years deep in the remarriage now. It's phenomenal. I love my wife. I love my family. I got a really blessed opportunity to have kind of this cool life. But when we got to back together in 2017, the end of it, or 2016, the beginning of 2017, I was trying to do this business thing of like speaking, coaching, consulting. And I'd had a lot of work ethic, right? The football world taught you how to work real hard, but I had a great identity in football. You put me on a field, I got this, lace it up, I got confidence. Not so much in business, but I was working real hard, doing all the cool stuff, hard as I could, right? And then when my wife walks in, it was February of 2017. I had this kind of makeshift office in my garage. She comes in and goes, hey, I love you. I love that you're passionate about this, but our family's not having the money we need to be secure and stable and grow our lives. Well, I'm at the time, I want to say probably like 29, 30 in that window. And she goes, I need you by the end of the year to be making at least 5,000 a month, or I'm going to ask you to do something else or come work in my business. And for me, I was like, I love this. I don't want to do something else. Like there's this connection to this thing that I'm trying and I'm trying to build. It's like, I don't want to be the guy that quits. I don't have the quit bone in my body. So I knew something had to change. So I actually stopped and went, how do I fix this? And so I stepped out of my ego and I started asking people, hey, here's what I got going on. Like people that were like, I'm great friends with a guy named Brendan Burchard. He's pretty prominent in our industry. We have a great kind of group of people in that realm. And I had to ask people like himself, hey, what can I work on? And they chopped me up, man, like man to man. Here's what it is. You're presented with some interesting stuff. Now, here's the thing. The things I had to do are the ones that are like, it makes logical sense, but I didn't identify as the guy to do that, to send emails, to ask for help, to hop on these. Like I hadn't done that. I could run a football around and tackle people, but this new. But they gave me this kind of place to, enter and give some effort into it. It took me, I'm talking a gut wrenching 9 months to figure it out. So many rejections, so many like failed opportunities, lost money. I call it the crucible. Like that's that window of time where you get to see like, hey, do you really want this? And I fought and I fought and I learned stuff and I built process, built systems. A lot of my world's like systems and process for reliability. Business cannot be this thing where I own a job. I'm doing all the things. It's got to be systemized and process driven and we have a whole bunch of stuff that makes it reliable. So I went to work for 9 months, a football guy, learning how to code, build websites, build apps, like do this copy. I'm reading things, so much stuff. But then when I got to November of 2017, I'd finally had in the books like the next 5 months out, like between 5 and 10,000 a month. I'm like, shoot, it worked. But like most people won't stick in that long. And the thing that I can give as a lesson to the people listening is the thing that you're going to have to do to make this thing you want like a reality, you don't even know what it is just yet. And when it gets presented to you, your entire body will tense up and you will try to find every way to not do it, to work around it, to find a different solution that's going to be easier for you to do. I think Under Armour one time had this marketing thing which said the only way is through. That's it. The only way is through. But when you lean in, you develop the two different pieces that are very paramount to success. The first piece, you get the skill because now you have this actual usable skill to get the thing you want. The second thing is because you've done that work, I call it a dark work mentality or a dominator's mentality because the work I do, which is I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light.
Nice, nice,
There's a
nice.
different guttural ownership sense that goes, "There's no way I spent 6, 7, 8, 9 months doing this to not win." But you have to do it properly, and when you stick to it, that dog comes in you in the moments where it's like, "All right, it's me and this opportunity for a speech, me and an opportunity to get a client, me and some social media." Like, you have a different sense of you, and the world feels that, and then you start seeing things move.
I see. I like this year, and uh, thanks for that, Anthony. Like what I'm getting here is like the trajectory of this all and taking us into it. Chelsea, I get really curious now with I'm seeing you with Kids MD. I know like Kids MD DPC. Like I want to make sure that like we get a bit of like your journey to creating this year. So can you take us through a little bit of your experience with this and coming up with like a vision of doing what I experienced like healthcare differently. You know. So would you mind sharing a little bit about that here for us?
Oh, I would love to. And I'm just mesmerized by what Anthony has to say. You're such a good storyteller. And I just listen to every word that you have to say and follow along your journey. It certainly makes me want to ask more
Thank you.
questions. I started off in rural Nebraska growing up, and I knew by the age of 12 that I was going to be a doctor. And I spent most of my childhood and young adult, my solo focus was I'm going to be a doctor, and every decision that I made was to be a doctor. So I made the choice of what classes I was going to take, what college I was going to go to. I ended up getting into the Rural Health Opportunities Program in Nebraska, which helps rural kids get into healthcare and then come back to rural Nebraska to practice medicine. I did all of that and got into medical school. And then I got into residency here in Kansas City. And I went through, graduated. I did a lot of different things while I was in academic medicine. And then I start feeling like I was floundering, like I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't making the changes, doing the things that I wanted to do. I felt like I wasn't continuing to be promoted. I wasn't continuing to evolve as a physician and do something more than just um, feeling like I was just seeing patients every day and not doing any more that was contributing. It wasn't until I sought out a life coach, a business executive coach to help me see myself and what was really going on. So I have described that while I was in academic medicine, my first role out of residency was I was the first pediatrician as a generalist to work in a subspecialty area within that healthcare system. So I opened up the door, if this was going to work, for other general pediatricians to work in subspecialty areas. And I did that for 4 years. I also did a lot of work in the emergency department and the urgent cares, and I got to be one of the physicians that was involved with taking a brand new urgent care and starting it and opening it up and making it whatever that culture was going to be. I also got to be one of the physicians that helped the different urgent care transition into an emergency department, and all the changes and what's necessary to make those transitions happen. I also got to work in telemedicine and help take care of kids that needed better access, and making sure that they had access to healthcare within our system. Um, and it wasn't until I was describing what I felt were all these failures because I wasn't able to do more within those areas. And I felt like I didn't really do much. I wasn't showing like I was continuing to expand. And it wasn't until he looked at me and said, "Well, what I hear you say is you're an entrepreneur. You did all of these things. You were the first one to do it. You were the one that was starting to do new things differently. You put yourself out there and try to make change within a really big healthcare system. That says that maybe what's really going on is that's just not the right place for you." And that was really helpful for me to then take that next step to leave what I felt like the nest that I had been there for right at 20 years, and said, I'm going to take that step out and try doing this on my own. And ever since that conversation, I've seen myself differently. I do see myself as an entrepreneur, which has helped me to then go on and get my MBA degree. I have taken I've taken the stance to continue to put myself in a position where I'm always uncomfortable. And I'm trying to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and always trying to do something new and different, which has allowed me to start a concierge care pediatric telehealth company. And I now have 16 states that I practice in. It helped me to get my direct primary care clinic started because I never thought I would be a business owner. I was always happy being employed, and now I see myself differently. I am the one that is the owner, and I'm looking forward to employing employees and setting the culture the way I want healthcare culture to be. It also means that I am a co founder of a pediatric medical device company And I'm hoping to make continued changes for kids in the realm of doing research and bringing medical devices into the world to make life better for kids. And so I have grown more in the last 6 years that I've been outside of academic medicine than the 20 years I was there. And my takeaway is I want people to recognize that who you are is reflective of the environment you're in. So the analogy that if you have a bottle of water that at the grocery store costs $2, but when you go to the airport it costs $10, or the movie theater it costs $5, find the location where you cost $10 for your water bottle. And those are the people that value you and you're in the right place. That space, you can grow your confidence and you can be who you want to be. That's my takeaway from my experience.
I'm loving this here, Chelsea. Like outliers, I'm gonna like I have to come in and talk to you all here. Like, let's not do this just as like a nice to have and then let the moment go by, right? Think of like, please just take like 10 seconds right now to even look at yourself right now and say, like, where's your bottle? Where's the bottle of water that is you being at right now? What environment are you in right now? And where is the places where that would be valued incredibly highly? Like when you said that's not the right place for you, I had to like just sit down and write that down right there because it really got me thinking about just the ability to just be who you are, but to be in a place where that is actually valued highly, as opposed to struggling against like going against the grain. And so I kind of want to like let's build off this idea here. Let's jump in on this a little bit here. Um, let's talk about like how y'all have identified like the places where it's worth like continuing to like improve a skill set, or to yeah, let's say a place where it's like to improve a skill set or work against a weakness, as opposed to going to a place where it's like, to be honest, if I was just over here, people would love what I'm doing. Like I would love to see how that would work. It's part of the reason why I do like podcasts and live streams and stuff. Because like it turns out I like to talk, and so I'm like, if I sat down trying to like write different like emails and copy, like it's the wrong place for me. I don't translate in that space. I don't mind. Thankfully, there's AI and there's been copywriters. So I've always had people that like I can talk first, and then it gets translated into something else where I'm like, this is my primary message, but like let's go out and do it in a different way. I'm curious how y'all have played with that and continue to stay in like the environments that work for you.
Yeah. It's as I could dance to that question, man.
Mm.
My brain wants to go two different directions completely. I think one side of it wants to go, all right, well, I can go, I want to go here, right? Wherever I want to go, it's a space. I want to serve these people. Just because you want to serve them doesn't mean they want to be served by you yet, which is
Mhm.
it's been the tough thing to figure out because I can know I can help you, but there's a whole skill to me getting you to get that. Right? Can I communicate your problem clearly? Can I actually have a solution to the problem? Can it be delivered in a format that you will get the solution right? Because if the solution's one thing, but you don't like a speaker, or you don't like a course, like what's a better way to? Is it a group? Is it like so? How can I deliver that solution to you? So it's like I can go, hey, I know they'll value me, but I got to create the value of me. I think it's
Mhm.
one dance of it, which
Can you
is
say
why.
that again? Like let's make sure we get that. I know they'll value me, but I have to create the like there's something in that I just want to
Yeah.
make sure. Even I knew it was important and I lost it right away. So
No, no,
say it again.
I went too fast. Probably I can't even 100% remember exactly what I said
All
verbatim, but it
right.
was I know there's value to what I do, but can I create the value of me?
Yeah.
Meaning, like I can go serve a bunch of people. Like what I do, I hop on. I work with Amazon's, Google's, Chick-fil-A's, T-Mobile's, PayPal, Best Buy, a whole bunch of cool companies I get to speak for. That doesn't simply mean that any company in the world's gonna be like, oh, he's the guy, right? I still have to go to them and create the awareness of who I am and the value I can bring. And then once I can do that, now they go, oh, you're the guy. That just takes time. Even if I'm phenomenal as a fit for them, if they don't get it, then it doesn't get it. The way I can explain this is like, let's say my last name's Trucks. Let's say that you walk in and you want a truck. You want the truck for one of three purposes. Say you want to use it for, I don't know, taking your family around to be, driving safely. Well, the truck can also go off-roading. It can also haul things, like a boat. But if you come in and you go, hey, I need a truck, and I go, oh, great, this thing can go off-roading. It can haul boats across the country, four-wheel drive torque. You're going, may not be for me. If I'd have simply said, hey, what is it you need, Nehemiah? Oh man, I got the family of five. I want to drive. Oh, cool. This truck can do this. And I can address all the things that are of value to you that I would have known, right? So I may have the thing. Can I make the perception of what I do valuable to you? That's a dance, even if I can be. That's one part of it. The other part of it is interesting because I go, in my world now, I have a team of like 16 that we have two companies. One's my speaking company, and then there's a company that teaches people how I built this company as a speaker, coach, consultant, the business side of all that. Not so much the skill set, but like how do you really build the business of speaking out? And what I've come to find is I do some things very, very well. I do a lot of things not very, very well, right? But these things the clients still need. So I had to figure out, okay, there's a place that I can be of value, but to be of the best value, I need support. TD Jakes at one point had a quote that I love, and he says, "If the dream is big enough to do by yourself, the dream isn't big enough." And it like settled me into like, okay, cool. If my dreams are serve a lot of people in the dark work brand or the Speak to Freedom brand, I've got to think of like, what can I do that can be the person that leads the charge, but then bring people along that can help me serve the clients the way I want to. So part of that skill has been doing what I do and not trying to do more, which is very hard. How do I get like, I need this? Who can I find to do that? That's very intelligent, maybe smarter than me in some area, but doesn't want to run a whole business and bring them in. It's a different type of skill set to build because one skill set's the skill set of getting great and teaching it. The other skill set's getting a team together and leading them to be able to have a outcome that's desirable as a team. Different skills. It's like, well, MLM companies, like I've looked at MLMs and I love how they have the ability to scale. Some people are diamond leaders, phenomenal, right? Then some people are really good at their solo business, but they can't build a downline.
Yeah.
The difference isn't the product or your skill, it's that you haven't developed a downline development skill. You can sell it yourself. Can you teach Chelsea or Nehemiah how to do what you did? Different skill altogether. So my brain went in those two directions. I have no idea if it's helpful, but there it
This
is.
this is what I love about this space here. We're not trying to converge on a specific answer. This is a place where emergent thoughts come in, right? And so the things that you're saying are getting me to think about things. I'm sure it's getting Chelsea to think about things, and not even just think, but I get the sense of we're feeling here. We're checking to see like what actually lines up for us
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chelsea, curious about your take on either anything. Yeah, you're curious about your take.
I just want to kind of step off where Anthony was at. Or a lot of it is about communication, and do I have the communication skills to drive what it is that I want to get to? And within my ecosystem, I want to make sure that I have communication skills to educate the public on what direct primary care is, how it can benefit families and the physician both. And within the space of in pediatrics, a lot of what I need to do is be able to communicate with families about vaccine hesitancy and trying to remove a lot of the misinformation. And how do I reach families and find out where they're at so that I can bring them forward and see what their motivations are? Because we know that um, parents want what's best for their children, the physician wants what's best for their children. We're all trying to navigate this enormous amount of information and trying to sift through it and figure out what's true, what's not true, what works for me, what works for you, and trying to meet families where they are. And my what I find difficult, what's challenging, what I'm always trying to do better is try to listen better, trying to listen more, trying to understand where they're coming from, and then trying to use the skills that I am learning as a communicator and as an expert in this area to take what is really difficult science and technical, and it took me 10 years of schooling to understand, and in order to break that down into a way that families can then understand the science that I have learned to do so that they feel comfortable making the decisions for their kids that they need to make. And vaccine hesitancy is a really big space right now where we're having to sift through all of the muck and mud in order to get what we really need to understand is true, and so that we can make those choices. And if I can do better at that so that I can understand by listening and then be able to communicate effectively with those families, that's the space that I am trying to get in and be really good at. And it's challenging. And so right now that is where I'm focusing a lot of my effort, my work, trying to reach out to families and understand all of this so that I can communicate these things back. And I'm always a work in progress and I'm always trying to get better at these things. So this communication and education piece is where I'm really settled in because my expertise and the medicine piece is there. I'm now trying to help families navigate this system, which is really complex now in this world.
Yeah, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this thing where both of you have have this journey of becoming really accomplished in your field, right? Like doing the things to the highest levels that are there and being like I want to say like it's not technically perfect, like excellent, but it's just like having excellence as the person that's doing it. And you're each of you are finding saying like, all right, now how do we like grow and lead other people into this here? And this is where I'm hearing the communication, I'm hearing the team. You're like, I know how to build a successful like speaker business. I've done all the things in my personal like career as a doctor and physician. I didn't say that properly twice, but
I got it.
physician. There we go. Um, but you're leveling up. You've chosen to level up into something that is much larger than yourselves, and I really appreciate you bringing in like the friction that's there. And I think that this is something that like outliers really like we really face. One of the things that I used to work at one of the big four consulting companies, and he always said like if you're looking to get a promotion, you can't just be the best at your current level. We'd rather you actually see you do like 50% or like an adequate job at your current level and take on the steps of the next one and do that one even somewhat poorly. But then we at least know that you are acting at the level beyond where you are, as opposed to saying I'm the best at what I'm doing, and so like that should magically apply to something new. Right. I'll be curious what any of y'all takes have been because you're in the midst right now of continuing to expand yourself beyond what you can each individually do. And not even on a small level. You're finding how to build that out on levels upon levels. So I'm curious what's flowing for either of you as I bring this into the space.
I am starting off as a solo practitioner and trying to navigate. I am everything within my business, trying to learn all the different angles, all the different areas, trying to be that, the business owner that does it all. And I am really excited to get to the point where I feel like I know all the different roles and I'm growing enough that I feel like I can no longer provide for my families the way I need to, and I am ready to then expand. And I'm really looking forward to the growth within my businesses where I can hire individuals and I can feel confident that I am the leader that I want to be for my employees, that I want to address the culture and how I want them to display themselves as representatives of my business to the world, to the public, to the forward facing customer service level so that I know that if I'm not there, they're representing me and my business the way I want them to be representing me. And I'm hoping that I can also be the boss and that person that's going to help take them where they are as employees and bring them up to the next step. Where do they want to be within my company? How do we get them there? How do we educate? How do I lead them into it? Because I think as my experience, I learned very late in my career how valuable feedback is and how little of it that we receive, especially valuable feedback, which is I see you, I see what you're doing good, and I see that you could do better, and let me give you this feedback on how you could do better. And if somebody offers that to you, take it and run with it because it's gold. Because there's so little opportunity to receive that level of feedback. And I want to be able to be that leader that says, on a regular basis, I am providing you with feedback with where you're at now and where I see where you could be. And you tell me where you want to be, and I'm going to help you do the things that you need to do to get to where you want to be. And I will be that mentor. I will be that sponsor for you and get you there because I think that's what good leaders do. Um, Good leaders help those folks that work for you to represent you and make you look good. But by doing that, you give them the support that they need to do their job really well and continue to work them up and promote them. So that's where I want my growth and direction to be within my business. But then I hope to do that throughout the rest of my contacts within my family, within my friends, within my business collaborators. I hope to be that leader that people reach out to and want to engage with.
Nice play.
I like it.
Anthony, anything coming for you on this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a multitude of thoughts. I think it's kind of the problem with me sometimes too. I get up at 5 in the morning and I can't go back to sleep because I just
Mm,
think. I love the direction you went with that. There's just the statement that I don't know. I come up with a lot of statements and I remember a lot of quotes. One of them that I made up, I think personally, was you should not be teaching people how to run the race until you've crossed the finish line.
mm.
And for me, I think at one point in my career, I was trying to teach something. I was still learning. I was like, that was man, I was like 25. I'm like, I'll figure this out, you know. But at this stage of my life, I'm like, you know what? I was telling people to make a left turn there, but as I got to the race, I looked back and said, I should have made a right. And so in my life now, I go before I do anything, I want to live it, get through it, and come back with some actual wisdom, which is information applied, and go, here's what I now know, and then teach from that space. The other part of it is I have to inherently like ooze whatever I'm talking about. And it's something for me where like I live and breathe the thing I talk about, like the way that I am with my family, with my marriage, with my business, with my colleagues, my clients. There's a way that I think what you do in the dark comes to the light. So how I function, if you were to come and hang around, I'm dialed. It is not easy. It's the natural part, but that allows me to be so confident when I step in front of the world I want to lead, which leads to what Chelsea was talking about. The leadership thing for me, I think the question you started with was like, there's a way that you guys are being at a level of excellence,
Mhm.
and this is kind of where the idea of like a dominator's identity came into play. Was it's not that it's the same thing for everybody, but there's an opposite. There's a submitter, I call it. I submit to weakness, excuses, difficulty, hardship, and I make excuses and I pity party and I'm okay and I make I blame it out there. Dominators are gritty. We get after it. Like there's a different sense of like I can figure this out. And for me, the one thing I like to do with my clients and my team is like the same way you want to say I want to lead them and teach them and mentor. One of the hardest things for me was actually codify the process, to not just go here, be like me, right? Because I think that the thing that I've noticed is the continuation towards a destination. It isn't like me going what I want and going after that. It's what is the standard I must operate with habitually every single day. That if I do this, naturally I keep going there.
Mm.
And how can I go back and see what are the things like we all have different gaps. There's like you have different gaps, I have different gaps. There's just different things to move forwards. But how can I go back and go, how do I see what those are? Own them, get feedback. I didn't like that, but it's good, and move. And how can I teach other people, hey, if you just do what I do, you might mess your life up. Sounds crazy to say it that way, but what I had to work on is different than Chelsea, it's different than Nehemiah, it's different than Veronica. And that's okay. But if I can step back and see and find out what that is, and then apply a certain mentality or a certain approach to that, well, now I can progress you. So, like a lot of what we do is I actually have us go through a process we call roots and fruits. And I dig in and go, hey, we need to work on something. Ah, right there. Okay, that's your work. If you do what I do, you won't progress, but you do what you're supposed to do. Now you can. And then how do we progress forward? For me, a lot of it's design. Like I call it design your dark. That work you have to do shouldn't be like, what do I want to do today? Right? It should be dialed in, clear, and it should be something where you wake up and go, all right, that's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, like all the way through the day. It's pre-planned, pre-structured for duality of life and professionalism of my work. But now what I'm doing is I set a standard. This might make sense in this kind of weird simple metaphor. Years ago, somebody asked, like, Anthony, you make money. How much is enough money? And I go, I don't even think about the money like that. They go, what do you mean? That's the thing you focus on. I go, it's not that I'm not trying to make money, not that I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to have a professional standard for how I do everything, how I show up in my marketing, how I do my social, how I work with my team, how I serve my clients. There's standards to that. The cool thing is the output, the outcome of those consistent acted upon standards does bring revenue. It also brings friendships. It also brings health in, right? But the idea is I'm not trying to do a couple things to make that work right now. It's not a diet fix. Like, can I get a diet push? It's like, no, can I completely change how I eat? Can I completely adjust how I do my business? And when you do that, those things naturally happen. And then you start finding that it's not like I'm trying to hard charge towards something. My natural set point for operation becomes something that many people can't even fathom for themselves because it's just continuously growing and they're trying to get to one level and stop. I just keep
Mhm.
doing this, they get one level and stop, right? So over time, I'm the tortoise, they're the hare, and somebody else has to win. And essentially, it's the tortoise, just continuously going. And I do what, and part of that going is finding out that new levels bring new devils. You succeed, great. There's a new problem, boss. And you approach it, you figure it out. But if you can maintain that mentality, I call it a dominator, which just means to govern and exert control over the weaker version of your identity. If you can do that day in and day out, that standard set, your life is endlessly possible for whatever you choose.
Y'all are giving me great vibes here. I'm getting goosebumps as we talk through. I listened for that as we go in. We're like wrapping up our conversation, but I really one of the things that just came to me was like I talk about like what do you stand for, and as you kept using the word standards, like I realized I'm like, oh, this is all connected. Your standards, what you stand for, and how we continue to growing and hold that up as we go along, really make a phenomenal difference in the way. So. I want to say thank you to both of you for being here. What I want to do is make sure that Outliers know how they can go deeper down the journey with you. So we'll start with you, Anthony. Would you mind sharing how Outliers can go deeper down the journey with you?
Yeah, yeah. If you go to darkwork.com, you can, there's a whole lot of cool, you take a full dark work assessment to see what identity you're operating from. We also have a daily podcast. It's just me rapping for like 5 to 7 minutes. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. We spend a lot of time to make sure it's a dialed in podcast. I say podcast, it's more of like a daily dose of Anthony, but it's free. You can hop in. It's an app you can download on the App Store and dive in. But that's the best way for people to continually kind of get the drips of information because at some point they'll make that switch to take action and I can support them at that point.
I love it. I love it. Chelsea, how about you?
Yes, well, I have my website for concierge care pediatrics, which is my telehealth services in 16 states and growing. My clinic in Kansas City is kidsmd.com. It's my direct primary care clinic, and I service the families in the Kansas City metro. I also do consulting work for pediatric medical device companies, and hopefully soon we'll be having another pediatric medical device through the FDA approval in the next few years that we can continue to support kids and their families and providing trusted relationships and keep our kids healthier as we go forward.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're about to wrap here. I had every single conversation with putting Outliers to the side, right? So now Outliers, you've gotten your thing. We're grateful for both of you for that. My whole reason of having any conversation is for it to be a life changing conversation. That's the standard that I choose to hold, right? And so I'd like to ask each of you here, what's the insight that you're leaving this conversation for yourself as you go out in the world? Now, look, here goes the thing. Like, if you don't have an insight, like y'all have been honest, you've been like, we believe you. So like, don't make up anything that's not there. But if there is something there, we'd love to hear it, and we'll use that to close ourselves out. Right? We'll go with Anthony, and then we'll
Yeah.
end with
Like
Chelsea.
an insight from the discussion of like between
From
all the three of us.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Here's what I do like. I like that there's other worlds that are other worlds. I have this like I played professional football and I learned in life is like just because you did a cool thing at the high top of the world doesn't mean you should have a microphone. It doesn't mean that you're the best in the world or everything. I love that there are different worlds. I love that Shell has her own world she operates in. I know nothing about, but I'm like, it's cool someone's doing this thing. So I find that I even if I'm big in my world, I'm not big in the world sometimes, and it allows me to be humble and of service. And so I think it was for me good to reiterate and like understand like it's a whole big cool thing of world going on outside of this world of Anthony. And I love when people are doing great things. I love seeing humans human at a high level. So thank you guys for showing that.
Thank you, Anthony and Chelsea.
This conversation just reminds me that they say that it takes 10,000 hours for you to master a skill, which if you do that full time, like a full time job, it takes you 5 years in order to master a skill. And it also reminds me that if you ever want to be good at something, you have to keep at it and you have to practice in order to get to that mastery, which also means that you need to look for mentors and sponsors and you need to be coached up. So if there's anything that you're trying to do, you should have a coach for that, whether that's in sports, whether that's in your executive leadership, whether that's you're just trying to learn a new skill. You want to have somebody that's educating you, who is your teacher. And it just reminds me that I need to continue to look forward and look for my coaches in whatever sphere that I'm in. Right now, it's in business, or right now, it's in how I'm going to better my communication skills, and trying to reach out and think about who I want to be my coach, and continue to work towards these goals. So that was my takeaway from our conversation.
Well, I appreciate all of you here for bringing your realness here. Um, I'll share mine because I don't think it'd be fair to let y'all off the hook this way. My biggest thing here was just to like really anchor myself back into the standards here. And my general thing is the person with the highest standards is the one who's holding the bar and actually setting the vision. So I really feel really connected to that here today. Outliers, like go ahead, leave a comment with anything that you got from this conversation. Please go deeper into Chelsea and Anthony's world. We have a lot going on here, and we believe in you. All right. Until the next time that we talk,